My name's PJ. As you can probably tell, I'm Birmingham born and bred. I did a reality TV show many years ago called Big Brother. I was in the third series.
I remember you well.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough. We can talk about that then. Awesome. I was a lawyer for years. You know, I'm very lucky now with hindsight, but I got to the point where I was jumping in the car to go to work and I was already anxious. And I thought life's too short to do stuff like that. I'm still a co-founder of a charity called LoveBrum, which I'm very proud of. We should be constantly celebrating the talent in Birmingham. Legitimately, I am passionate about celebrating what's going on in this city.
Hello. Welcome back to episode 5 of the 0121. I'm Lee Wilcox.
And I'm Adam Barry.
And this week we've got a little bit of a difference, haven't we? As you'll see, if you're watching this podcast, that we are about to start. And when we do start, we'll be wearing different clothes. It's crazy. Because we are, last week on Friday, it's Tuesday now, last Friday we interviewed the lovely, very busy, ambitious person by the name of PJ Ellis, who does a lot around the Birmingham area, numerous businesses, but I guess where the conversation took us was more around the impact in Birmingham, and in particular the charity that he founded 6 years ago called LoveBrum, which big fans of. So we chatted around that, didn't we, Ad? It was good fun.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and I think he really fit the brief of the 0121 podcast. He's a Brummie, he's a local guy, he's ran businesses in the area, and he's got a passion for Birmingham, same as us. So it was refreshing for us to speak to someone who's like-minded. You know, you get a lot of people that are apologetic, as we touch on in the podcast, from being from Birmingham, whereas I think us and people like PJ are just championing the city. And I think that's something we need to do more of.
Look, without further ado, I want to jump into a very, very good episode. Let's jump into it right about now. So, look, first things first, mate. We need to, as always, we want to position to the listeners. Who are you? What do you do? What are you about? What are you doing? Come on, give us a bit of a backstory about what you're doing now, and why you're on.
How long have we got? My name's PJ. As you can probably tell, I'm Birmingham born and bred. I was born in a place called LoveBrum. Went to a school in Chelmsford Wood. So I was certainly I certainly had an experience. I've been, what's the word? I've had a lot of life experience as a kid growing up. I've been very lucky, actually. Before I fell into like normal work, I wanted to be a footballer. And about 7 stone ago, I nearly did make it. I was with some good teams growing up, like Derby and Port Vale and stuff. And actually the school we went to, it's almost like associated to like a school of excellence. It was like, it's academies now, but back then it was proper school of excellences. So it's a footballing school, and I had a great time, to be honest. It was really good. But when I clearly wasn't going to make it, I started growing that way rather than that way. I didn't know what to do, so I just my career's advice was to just go into the law. I'd had some decent grades or whatever. So yeah, I was a lawyer for years, corporate lawyer, doing commercial stuff, which was really interesting, but not something I really enjoyed, if I'm completely honest. You know, I'm very lucky now with hindsight, but I got to the point where I was jumping in the car to go to work and I was already anxious, and I thought life's too short to do stuff like that. But since then, fast forward, I think it was like 2013, 2014, I stopped doing that. So about 6-7 years ago, since then, I've been doing a number of things. I've got involved in charities. I set a few charities up. I'm still a co-founder of a charity called LoveBrum, which I'm very proud of. And from a day job point of view, I co-own a company called Lightbox, which is like a digital marketing agency. All the stuff that you do, sort of. Got 2 kids. Blake's 10, Minnie's 5. Married, getting older, losing all my hair, losing the will to live. It's good fun, mate. It's all good. But yeah, I could go on forever, mate. I've had a pretty checkered past, but I'm one of those fortunate ones, I think.
One industry to another, and then charity comes along. How did you manage to get into that?
Well, To be fair, mate, I completely forgot to say that. I don't know whether you even know. Probably. I did a reality TV show many years ago called Big Brother. I was in the 3rd series, and
I remember you well.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough. We can talk about that then. Awesome. I also did National Lottery Jet Set with Eamon Holmes before. Just thought I'd let you know. No, Big Brother was awesome. It was a brilliant experience, and no doubt we'll probably touch upon that later. But when I came out of it, I did go into my law career, but I was a completely different person. I think Big Brother is a good fun and everything. You know, you'll see the entertainment side of things, but you don't see the amount of time I was sort of in isolation almost, and you do start questioning what you want to do. So when I'd come to the end of my career as a lawyer, and I was in a space where I just didn't want to do it anymore. The problem was we were afforded a nice lifestyle, and you know it was difficult to walk away. So I was at some good firms. I just stumbled across a chap online, young boy. I just had my son. You guys are dads, right? Yeah. Just had my boy, and this young lad, Harry Mosley. He had a brain tumour. I think he was 8 years old. I stumbled across his journey in Twitter, and I had this morbid fascination, weirdly enough, about watching him, being excited about what he was doing. He was making these bracelets for like celebrities and selling them on, whatever.
I remember it. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah. There's massive coverage of it, wasn't there?
That's right, because I think David Beckham wore one or something like that.
Yes, yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And yeah, I was just obsessed, like almost to the point. It was terminal, his condition. So I knew he was going to pass away. So I watched that, weirdly enough, until he did pass away. And it was just really moving. So I just reached out to his mum and said, look, obviously you're being inundated with so many other things that you need to consider, but I'd love to help if and when I can. And actually, I was still a lawyer at the time. And I thought I'd be able to sort of do a golf day or something like that, raise a few quid. And when she agreed to let me do something, it just spiraled out of control, mate. Like literally, we ended up doing a black tie event. I'm still knackered now, and it was like 9 years ago. But what came out of that was just some brilliant experiences for me. Not only was I able to raise, we raised 100 grand that night, but it also allowed me to meet some really good people along the way. So when I was actually struggling, I was still working, whatever hours I used to work as a lawyer, coming in and trying to organise this black tie event from home, and all the stresses that comes with that. I reached out on Facebook saying, look, guys, I need some help. And this chap called Tim Andrews just said, I'll argue you, mate. I'd never met the guy. Met him the following day. I remember, fish finger sandwich, pint of Stella, and a friendship was made forever. And it was actually Tim that I set LoveBrum up with the end. I'd come across so many cool projects in Birmingham that were doing brilliant things that didn't necessarily have the platform to sing and dance about the cool things that we're doing. So it was Brian from Kozel who was popping out with his flask of soup. And, he was feeding the homeless, but he wasn't necessarily taking a photo for Twitter, and it was these heroes that I really wanted to shine a light on. And politically, with the lowercase p, I wanted to create this sort of movement that would bring Birmingham together and start putting us back on the map a little bit, because we were being overlooked. Well, I mean, we still are, but even more so 6 years ago, the photos of Birmingham that the press were using were always of a massive grey cloud hanging over a rubbish, deserted part of Birmingham. And everyone was just like, so I just, it was just, that was the motivation. Initially it was just to help. And then the motivation was to really change and to, collaborate with other organisations that were doing similar things to just make Birmingham that little bit better. And I think we're doing it. I think we are genuinely doing a good thing, which, as I said, it makes me sleep a bit better at night.
What's the vision of LoveBrum? What are you trying to achieve there?
Well, it's constantly changing slightly. It's a movement for an even better Birmingham. So, and we do that a number of ways. We first and foremost shine a light on these brilliant projects, and we help them out by giving them a platform, funding them, whatever it might be. And these are projects that are delivering real change. Every penny we spend on those projects generally go to the project. There's no CEO costs or whatever it might be. And don't get me wrong, the larger charities, they need that. I have no bug to bear. That's right. Yeah, around the larger charities, not at all. So we do that, and we do that well. We've done that for 6 years now. We've funded over 200 projects now. Everything from a young school group that's going into care homes to sing and dance with the residents, to environmental projects that are building their own ecosystems on the top of like a Digba factory or whatever it was. It's all mental but awesome projects that are delivering change across education, arts, culture, mental health, whatever it might be. Once that box is ticked, you then start looking to encourage Birmingham to do business with Birmingham. As a business owner myself, I am discouraged sometimes when a local, I won't name it, but a massive iconic building in Birmingham has just appointed a Manchester-based PR agency. I just can't get that, especially with the amount of talent we've got in Brum. I do find that very difficult. So without it being political, I'd much prefer Birmingham to do more. It's the Birmingham pound, right? Keeping that economy going. And then it also creates like a bit of a community to do better CSR. So companies will say, we have a CSR strategy and, a requirement or obligation rather. And we sort of try and work with them to sort of make sure that that's delivered, and without being selfish, that it's delivered locally, because I think you get more engagement with your team personally if it's a democracy. So LoveBrum is Birmingham's charity. You choose which projects you want us to support. You tell us, what to do. And I think employers need to probably better or quickly move away from, let's support that massive charity that everyone knows, but it's based in Scotland, still doing brilliant things. But instead, let's better support a local charity, an Acorns, a Birmingham Children's Hospital, even smaller than those, So there's loads of things that we're doing, which makes the elevator pitch slightly more difficult than other charities, because we're not just raising money for cancer. We're not just raising money to buy a big piece of equipment. We're doing so many things. And I suppose that's the only difficulty we've had with LoveBrum really scaling it, is because the proposition is sometimes arguably confused.
I absolutely love the approach. And you know what? It's just similar to what we've been saying, Lee, since we started the business about championing Birmingham. We look at a lot of, London agencies and publishers and Manchester as well. And we know we're quite big-headed. We think we're doing a better job than them. But because they're based in London, they get all the attention, all the money, all the eyeballs. And so we just thought, we're just going to own Birmingham. There's no point us trying to move down to London and take the agency there and the publisher there. Lee doesn't like to use the word agency.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had a feeling. I don't like the word agency, if I'm honest. What does it mean?
Yeah, I blame that on you saying it. But yeah, we want to champion Birmingham. There's so much talent in Birmingham. Yeah, it's just being overlooked.
To be honest, mate, I genuinely, and take this the right way, I'm absolutely humbled to be sitting on your podcast. I'm a big fan of you guys without knowing who you guys are. On the tools, I didn't even know it was a Birmingham duo behind that. When this dropped into my inbox, this opportunity, I thought, these look cool. I like the brand. And you start looking, 82 employees on LinkedIn or whatever it was. So hang on, what's this all about? So I hope that LoveBrum and other platforms like the iTunes, Independent Birmingham, Updates, whatever it might be, we should be constantly celebrating the talent in Birmingham. Legitimately, I am passionate about celebrating what's going on in this city, because if we don't, no one else will.
Yeah, I think there's a whole thing around Brummie's not shouting loud enough. We had it with Nathan actually last week. We were talking about it, and it's a bit of a thing that Brummie's they get on with it. It's there, it's happening. It's just like, oh yeah, we don't need to shout about it. We're just going to get on with it, and then we'll finish and we'll go and have a pint, or we'll go and see our family, or we'll go and see our mates.
Are you guys Brummies?
Yeah. Well, Tamworth, but yeah, I mean, Ad, you were Chelmsford Wood, weren't you?
I was Chelmsford Wood, yeah. I moved at a young age. My dad lived in Kingshurst.
Yeah. I used to play for Kingshurst, mate, at the pavilions. Coming back to that about people, and I agree with you there about that inherent sort of almost embarrassment of what Lee said about Birminghams don't big themselves up. Remember going on holiday as a kid, it's like, oh, you're from Birmingham, mate. Oh, yeah, that's so cool from Birmingham. And you'd just be like, oh, yeah, Sam, we're them idiots. Ozzy Osbourne, Lenny Henry, ha, ha, ha. And I just think it's just born into it.
That is so true.
It's born into it. We're the divs. We're them funny. It's not even the Birmingham accent, it's a black country, but it's still a cracking accent. But yeah, I think until we really collectively start beating our chest like the good old King Kong, wherever he is now. But you know what? I have seen a shift. I do think that it is working. I do think people are now looking at Birmingham as a talent pool. We get a lot of business from London because, well, for a number of reasons, like costs. But the energy that I think is around Birmingham, I think it's really good. I mean, I've looked at a few people in your roster, mate, and I'd take them any day of the week. There's some real good talent in your publishing house or whatever you call yourselves. So you should be really proud. You've got a real nice team there. Cheers.
Yeah, we've managed to do all right, and I think we've only got probably a handful of employees who actually aren't from the Midlands, Lee. I'm just trying to think now who they.
We are, interestingly, more recently, probably the last 3 to 4 months, we've definitely had more people move from other areas to Birmingham for the job, which kind of blows my mind when I'm like, they've done what? They've moved from Manchester for a job here. What do you mean? They had family, and they're like, no, they've just moved for the job. I'm like, fuck off, So I think that's happening. But yeah, on the whole, it's a Birmingham-based business with Birmingham people, and I think we've got a real focus on making sure that exactly that, we are beating our chests about Brum, and I think there's a number of things that are happening. I think Andy Street is pushing a hell of a lot of focus on job creation at the moment. There's a lot, I see a lot of PR coming out of that office around that. I think there's the creative industry is starting to form itself and a bit of a hub around the Digbeth area and the centre of Brummie. And I think those things help. We have to make sure that there's, Channel 4 not moving here was a wound. I thought them coming, that was going to be there's going to be a bit of a domino there. But yeah. I kind of got this vision of well, okay, fuck it, let's get on with it and let's crack it. And then, with a vision of Channel 4 coming back and being yeah, shit, sorry, we got it wrong. We shouldn't have gone to Leeds. We should have come here. Because we need more broadcasters, more content creators, more digital firms. We need that hub to start being built, around that. There's been sort of investment recently, and there's things happening in Digbeth now, and I think it's really exciting for the region. Really exciting,
especially when the world unlocks. I think it's going to be even more exciting. I think there'll be a slightly different appetite around how people do things, but yeah, I'm really excited, mate. I mean, and why not? Everyone buzzes off media. Oh, have you seen Media Central in Manchester? It's amazing. You're like, all right, well, so it just looks like the Fort Retail Park, with a couple of cool businesses on it. Do you know what I mean? I think if we went to another city and walked past some of our buildings, we'd stop and take a photo, but we don't. So yeah, I mean, a lot to be done still, but I think, businesses like yourself and mine and all the other opportunities and collaborations that we're on will only keep helping. And if we're going to lead some sort of legacy, we're all getting on, although you guys look like you are bathing the oil of Ulay or whatever it is. So I clearly don't.
I think Ad does.
You look cool.
Yeah.
You look cool, man. You look like you don't own a really successful high energy hustle.
You know why that is? I think it's because we've I wouldn't say luck. Lee hates it when I use the word luck, but I think we never really planned on this. So every day it's like a blessing, and we're just this is great, and this is good.
I don't think. I just think, I think that's. I was going to ask, how did you guys meet? How did it all start?
Well, we've known each other since we were kids, probably 10 years old. Are
you Villa fans?
Yeah. You're a Blue Nose,
isn't it?
Blue Nose, right here, Blue Nose. Villa. My wife's Villa, and all her side of Villa fans. And we live in Streetley, so it's claret and blue everywhere.
Yeah, it's over there. Yeah.
No, it's
always claret and blue at the posh end, isn't it, mate?
yeah. I can't wear my legs. I'll get beaten up in something. It's all good.
But yeah, look, we were just pissed on a Friday night. That's how the business came up. Ad was in the trade still, couldn't find a plaster on the job. We came up with the idea for creating this sort of B2B recruitment app. That was kind of what it was. But we were broke. We had no money. So we rinsed 3 credit cards to get this app built. And then whilst that was being built, was Ad came with the idea, well, let's set up a Facebook page and we'll try and build 100,000 builders on there. And then when we've got it, we'll launch it. They'll download it. We'll sell it. We'll be rich. Done. And then 3 months in, we hit like 250,000 followers. It was
Wow.
growing at like 40K a week organically. It was just mad. And then we realized then that the community was something more powerful than what the initial idea was. And, we never launched the app, and it all became then about sort of social communities. And that's kind of, we just lived and breathed that for the next 6 years, but certainly for those next couple of years, that's what happened. And then we started to look at how we could build more communities and acquire other ones. And then we sort of became Electric House, knowing that we couldn't just stay as on the tools, because it made no sense really when we've got all these other communities and doing these things. So yeah, it's look, I think Birmingham is definitely the place for us to be. And it's brilliant talking to people that are doing amazing things in the region. One thing I did want to ask was you're separate. You're a busy boy, you are. Yeah, separate to Lightbox. So yeah,
knackers.
As well as Lightbox and as well as LoveBrum, you're also on the advisory board for TedX at Aston Uni. Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I mean, not so much now, to be fair. I am technically. I think it all started. I actually did a TEDx talk about 3 years ago on the inherent bias of like, can't remember what it was. The unconscious bias, that's right, around like diversity and whatever it might be. And it was really interesting. And off the back of that, Mo Rassel from Aston University asked me to get involved, try and help like commercialize the operation and stuff like that. So yeah, I think more so now it's I let the it's run by students. It's an absolutely brilliant initiative. It's great to see like the voices from different parts of the country come to Birmingham and tell us their story, and it's really, really interesting. But yeah, more arm's length relationship at the moment around just helping them sponsor it. It's so difficult to get the event sorted every year, certainly now in lockdown. But yeah, it's been great to get involved. I got to a point, lads, where I started doing too much. I think I was doing stuff with like the English Schools FA. Birmingham Law Society, all brilliant opportunities. Great to, I think it helped me grow. Like the board meetings I was used to before those experiences are somewhat different now because of those. Like it was almost like you have to put your hand up to talk and all that sort of stuff. You get like board packs and pens and stuff like that. I'm like, what's all that about? But yeah, I've been very fortunate with those little non-exec roles that I've had, and I think they will put me in a better position. Because my goal is to sit on other non-exec boards, bigger agencies, bigger charities, wherever it might be when I'm a bit older. And I'm just sort of nestling into my pension fund. So yeah, it's put me in good stead for that.
How does that affect you? What was just pointing on something you said then, like, you think you spread yourself too thin at that point. What was that? How did you notice that? What was it, from a business point? I take it you mean from like running your actual business, let alone to LoveBrum and all those other things. What was the reasoning that you thought that?
I'm a workaholic. I actually really enjoy business. So instead of I used to play a lot of football. Don't do that anymore. And I certainly don't watch any football, being that I'm a Birmingham City fan. So I can't class that as football at the moment. But yeah, it was the stress test around my family, really. I wasn't spending enough time with my kids. I was listening to all people that I really admired say to me, don't you dare miss those first, 5 years of your kid's life because you'll never get them back. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, mate, whatever. He's only 2, don't worry. Bang, he's 10. You're like, oh, hang on a second. It's not good enough. I'm happy helping people. Of course, I always will be. But actually, when I'm sort of doing that to the detriment of my children, I started to think there's probably a bit more important things to do. And to be fair, mate, back to business, there's no way you guys would have scaled as quickly as you have without ultimate focus. You've got to have focus on one thing. The good thing about Lightbox is now that we've got complete focus on this, me and Rob, is actually, as you all know, it builds a platform that allows you to do other things. Lightbox won't be, it will make us a decent living. Don't get me wrong. It's a great business. But will it make us, be able to, it can help us set up e-com projects. We're on startups left, right and centre now because this facilitates those journeys. And I think, it just gave me a little bit of a kick up the backside to start realising where my real opportunities were. And that's definitely Lightbox and LoveBrum, because LoveBrum just makes me feel a little bit more nice about myself.
Yeah, we went through a period of that, and we always pull it back to this I remember the meeting we had. I don't know if you had when we had the meeting at Hogwarts about the online store, and of an evening there was like the five of us got together, and we were it all became about concentrate what not to do. You know, there was all these things we could go and do and everything, and we were like, what are we actually trying to become? Like, what are we trying to do? And at the time we had this, half the office was over in Tamworth, half the office was filled with merch, on the tools merch, shitloads of it, and then the other half we were cramming more and more people on the media side of the business, and we were like, the media side of the business is making like 85% gross, and the e-com's making 15 if you're lucky, and we were like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to become the biggest workwear brand in the world. We're trying to become like a big media business, and we were like, right, let's chop the head off it. Let's have that focus. And we did it. And it was so hard because the shop, the merch store was the first thing we made money on through On the Tools. And it became this, like me, Ad's wife, and my mom all worked on this thing. Like my mom worked on it for free, and so did Lorna, Ad's wife, for ages. Was what allowed us to move into the first office we had. We were working 16-hour days, doing like packing mugs and, like just mad shit and stuff that we didn't think we were going to be doing. So when you get to the point where you're like, I've just got to cut it off. Why? Because it's not what is part of the bigger vision. Yeah, but it's doing all right. Yeah, I know, but we've got to get rid of it. That's so hard. It's so hard to make those decisions.
Well, you can imagine the likes of Ben Francis having to make very similar decisions. Do I carry on like putting stitching labels in myself and keeping it all myself, or do I get the boys from Reebok and All Saints around me to take into a different stratosphere? And I think a lot of it was the delegation piece as well. So I'm very I'd like to think I can do it all. I can't. I got some good people around us. We've got a really good non-exec board, so they just give us some really sort of like simple tasks or hacks, and you're like, oh man, why didn't I think about that years ago? So yeah, it's you bang on, lads. I think some people, especially with the ability to do so much so quickly now, people just take their eyes off the ball a little bit more than they probably should. And I wish I'd learned that probably about 10 years ago, because I probably would have had a bit more hair.
I think looking back, Lee, the hardest thing about that decision was having to sack your mom in the shop when we done it.
Really aggressive,
and bear in mind at the time I was living with her still. Do you know what I mean? I was divorced, moved back in with my parents, and then I had to go like, soz mom, but we're shutting it down. We didn't sack her, just moved her around a bit, sound.
Does she do stuff for you now, or?
No, she retired 2 years ago, but she was with it for, she would have, she'd been a bit younger when we started. She'd probably still be here now, cracking on but we've done well for sort of retaining people, which is good when we moved. But so what something I wanted to ask was what advice would you give to somebody trying to set up a charity now in Birmingham? Like what if you could point three things of like whether that's like mistakes you made or just things that really worked for you when you first started, what can you boil that down?
I suppose it's a bit of a cliche, but you've got to believe, you've got to do it for the right reasons, 100%. I think a lot of people think charity is like a porthole or whatever it might be into good PR, good relationships, good commercial contacts, and it can be, of course it can, but it shouldn't be the main reason. You've got to believe in what you're trying to do, whether it be you're fixing something, whether you're on a mission, whether you just got to know what the why is. And then I think I always bottled like asking for help. I never really opened myself up to sort of saying, listen, lads, I need some help. And I was happy to do that because I started to realise that people are willing to help. I genuinely do think Birmingham, I got awarded a Points of Light some years ago, and the Cabinet Office was talking to me about almost like franchising LoveBrum across different cities. And I was like, there's no way in my mind, not that I know London communities or Manchester and that, very well, but I sense that LoveBrum works so well because genuinely Birmingham's community it's very helpful. There's loads of crap going on, of course, but generally people are good. So I think, believe in what you're going to do, ask for help, and then just keep it digital, man. Just like as digital as you can. Get a website up. Don't worry about what you look like. Our website needs work, massive amounts of work, but just keep plodding along online. reach out to the right people, have the right conversations, make sure the narratives are bang on. I mean, again, we can improve that, but just be sincere in all the comms and the way that you go about things. And dare I say, be up for a lot of hard work, I mean, a lot of heavy lifting, I mean debt, not financially, but like, you know, from a favour point of view with like most of Birmingham. So like, you know, they'll be calling them up over the next couple of years, no doubt. But yeah, just ask for help, be committed and graft and be a nice person. I'm sure you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's you know what, I've taken my hat off to anyone who sort of like runs a charity or gets into it. We've worked with charities over the last, well, since we started, because we've got such a big following and such a huge reach. We tend to get just like masses of inbounds in. And I think one thing we've always struggled with, Lee, is deciding on where to sort of concentrate on in terms of like, who do we support? And I think the first time in 5-6 years, we actually done something internally towards the end of last year where we asked people to sort of nominate things that they were sort of like passionate about and stuff like that. But what advice would you give to businesses and people who are struggling to sort of decide on who they do support?
I think it's not far removed from what you've just said. I think if it's top down, i.e., our guys were supporting X this year, what sort of buy-in you're going to get from that? You know, what works well for LoveBrum is that employers are able to go into their team and go, listen, there's a platform here that could support Dave. You're into mental health, aren't you? You know, Susan, you want to look after environmental issues. You know, Roger, you want to do like kids. Well, that sounds a bit weird, doesn't it, Roger? You want to do kids. But there's that potential to be so flexible in how you support projects. But yeah, just giving that democracy to ask them. And then, dare I say, you know, when I was a lawyer, I only found out I had CSR days in my contracts that I could use, you know, to go and paint a fence or whatever after I left. You know, if you're going to have them in your documents and say, oh, we've got CSR, just tell the people, tell them how to use it, and then connect with a charity that we do quite well, actually. LoveBrum has like a volunteering portal. So a lot of our corporates come to us and say, oh, we've got a group of people that want to paint some fences. Great. Got some people that want to give some accountancy advice. Wicked. And we do like a linking up piece. But yeah, like give them the opportunity to pick what their CSR agenda is and just keep it local. Like, you know, charities are doing amazing things, like the WWF, not the wrestling, are doing great things. But are you really, really motivated from a Birmingham point of view to support saving the whale all the time? I don't think you are. You can do that as a personal agenda. From a community building piece, employer branding, whatever it is, stay local. That's my say.
I love it. I think you've got another supporter here anyway, Lee. I think that's something that I'd love to see.
100%. I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll pick that up. A slot that we always have is the Birmingham Hero of the Week. So we want to jump to that if we can. You can't nominate yourself either. Or your business, you know. But hopefully in the prep that you've done, PJ, you've done
I've got a list
for
you boys.
Always got a list of people. I love it. Go for it. Come on, talk about some people doing shit in Brum.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think what is a hero for one, and I think it just comes back to doing shit in Brum. Like you said, good shit, obviously. You can't avoid entrepreneurs, right? Like you boys are good lads, but you're clearly entrepreneurs. Always a tick in my book. But you got the likes of, I'm a big fan of Glyn Pennell, who went to my school. He's always doing good things. Obviously, hospitality-wise, struggled a bit.
I've got a story about Glyn.
Have you? Can we do that off the show, or can we do it now?
No, it's a good story, right? Oh, so my brother, Graham, used to tell me that he's the reason Glyn is a chef, right? And he used to say, Pernell's is like that. It wouldn't be Pernell's without me. And we'd all wind him up and go, yeah. Until one day, Glyn done this interview and referenced my brother in it, right? For getting him a job at the NEC as a chef. And he said, some local lad who knew me mum got me a job at the NEC, chefing. And since then, I never turned back. And it was my brother. So there you go. There's a little story about Glyn Pennell.
I did not know that, Ad.
Yeah, because I never wanted to tell anyone because I thought it was bullshit until they actually seen that.
Like, how cool is that? That little moment of like, you know, an act of kindness, and then it can take, you know, people anywhere. But yeah, Glenn Pinnell, like a good lad. I mean, my quick story about Glenn Pinnell is I don't even think he knows Glenn, but I found his house as a kid because his sister was quite hot as a kid, and I phoned her, and he'd answer, boop, boop. I was like, "Have you got a payphone in your house?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, I said, "Oh, okay, you fancy a date?" "No." So yeah, that was it. That's got blown out. But yeah, Glenn, Alan Barrett, I quite like him. I think he's cool. Grenade. Nice little story about Alan. He's my first employee at Blake 7. He's now his digital marketing manager, so maybe he owes me a few quid. Ben Francis, can't avoid Gymshark, can we? Casey Bailey, I'm a big fan of Casey Bailey, does all the spoken word stuff. Then we move into celebrities. Alison Hammond, can't avoid my girl, Alison Hammond from Big Brother. Like, you know, everything, she's on fleek at the moment. Black woman, brilliant person, lovely, lovely lady. And she's moved into that, like the Black Lives Matter movement as well, which is really powerful. It's nice to see. I think people on the ground, you've got like Sir Paul Cadman does a lot of work with like art. He set up a thing called Art for Charity where he did a big like mural on a wall over in Digbeth, and it connected all these businesses around supporting the NHS and stuff. You've got Andy Dawson at Curium Solutions, just a hidden hero really, doing loads of change across the city and businesses. But you can't avoid like the local charities as well. So Birmingham Children's Hospital, Acorns, Tick, St Basil's, you know, all the homeless local charities, absolutely brilliant work. And the people that are doing this brilliant work are, you know, they genuinely believe the cause. It might be a job for some of them. You know, I don't make any money from LoveBrum. People are employed by charities, but they're also like massively up for it as well, which, you know, they work so hard. I also think pretty deep, but one to get a bit of a brownie point is the Birmingham heroes I've seen of late. Yeah, we talk about frontline workers, of course, massively important, and heroic teachers, all that. But I think like my missus has her own business, right? She's got a mortgage company, and she's like, and I bet there's loads of other wives and parents that have done this, but homeschooling whilst growing your business and all the other stresses and strains of the last year, you can't deny, but that, in my eyes, that they're heroes forever. Like, they've absolutely smashed it. I'm stressed because I put like a stone on. You know, you come back and these guys have just got it bang on. Like, you know, it's all in order. It's just unbelievable. And a bit of a tip of the hat to all of those people, individuals, mums, dads, whatever it might be, that have got through this pandemic having to homeschool. Oh my God, what a nightmare that was. Bring on Monday when they're all back to school. That's about it, mate. I'm a big fan of platforms. Like, I'm a massive fan of the Electric House now. I'll be one of your followers, and I'll follow you guys now until the day we die, or we do more work together. But you got iTunes, big fan. Independent Birmingham updates, all that sort of stuff. I love that. So we've got loads of heroes for the hero of the week. I hope that was okay.
That was good prep, mate.
That's amazing.
Like, it was, weren't it? Like, there's a person who understands his region. If anyone was going to, it should be you, shouldn't it? Really?
Well, yeah, I've got a bit of a requirement to sort of love Brummie. Yeah, but you know what? There's loads of stuff going on that I don't know about, and that's what I want to get around. Like projects like yours. I mean, now I'll see it all the time. You know, when you date a girl and she drives a white Mini, and then she finishes with you, and you just see white Minis everywhere. Yeah. It's going to be like that. I'll see you everywhere now. You're like a rash.
I hope so.
Yeah. But it's a good time to be a Brummie and do good work in Birmingham, I think. So bring it on. Completely
agree. Where are you based in terms of like office? Where are you?
We're in St Paul's Square. We're just literally this. I'm obviously socially distancing today because it's just me in the office. But yeah, it's we're all working remotely at the moment. I mean, some people come in here and there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back in the office, everyone getting the collaboration back. It's difficult, isn't it, doing it on Slack and online and all that?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing we'll have to do is definitely continue the conversation offline. And as we're so local, soon as we can get into a restaurant, Lee, we probably need to just all get together and go and have some food in Birmingham.
Yeah, it's sound. Just tap up your brother and it'll get a free meal at Purnell's.
Canaldo just bites a week. Yeah, mate, that'd be lovely. I'd really enjoy that. There's some wicked KFCs in town, so I'm up for that. I'll buy a bucket.
Yes, love it. Finally, we give you the guest plug, mate. We want to give you the opportunity to talk about what you're doing, what's important to you, and try and attract some attention around whatever it is that you're doing.
Mate, I didn't prep this. I didn't realise it was the last sheet. Okay, I've got it here. Guest plug. What are you working on now that you would like to shout about? Okay. Thanks for the plug. I appreciate that a little bit. I've never done this before. Well, I don't want to. We've got some great clients. Thanks for that. I don't really want to go down that route. We are working with some cool clients. We're very, very lucky. Some local, well-known brands, which we're looking forward to doing more stuff with. We've grown our team recently, which is good. I'm on a few startups actually. One startup is it's awesome. It's so cool. It's not sexy at all. It's in the waste management sector, but it's a real good. In fact, you know what? Yeah, your platform might be good for it actually. We will definitely have a chat about things. But it's an exciting bit of a startup, that is. The guys that are on it are whales in their industry, and we're going to become like their digital partners and stuff like that. And that's what. I think that's what really excites me at the moment. One plug, I suppose, if anyone needs a mortgage, check out themortgagemum.co.uk. That's another startup.
What a legend who's just done that.
Yes. I love it. That's my wife's business, mate. But yeah, which I part own, I suppose, doesn't it? So
great branding as well. The Mortgage Mum. That's proper friendly. Love that.
Mate, well, it's all about making life easy, and to be fair, she didn't like it when I suggested it. But now it just sticks. Bless her. She got a hoodie yesterday with a bit of branding. She was so chuffed. It was only 16 quid. She's wearing it all around the house now. With a little mulberry bag over her shoulder, thinking she's a legend. But no, bless her. Big shout out to her because she's doing ever so well. And it's great to see. She's enjoying being in business, and I think that's really important, right?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I've had a really good time on this podcast. I'm not going to lie. It's just
it hasn't really felt like a podcast. Felt like the only thing that's been missing is a beer and a pie or something.
Looking for a pint. I kept thinking sorry if I hogged the space. This is my second ever podcast I've been invited to do, so I was really excited about it. So thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
The whole purpose is for you to hog the space. It's not about us, it's about you. It's about the guest, isn't it? So, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. I think you're doing some amazing things in Brum. It's exciting speaking to people who are so passionate about the region and what's going on. And I think, can't wait to see. LoveBrum had its 6th birthday, didn't it, recently? I can't wait to be involved when it hits hits its 10th. We'll definitely catch up off this and continue talking more about everything that's going on in Brum. But absolute pleasure having you on, mate. Thank you very much.
Nah, thank you, gents. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to get to meet you. Don't forget how cool you guys are and the awesome things you're doing. So keep up the great work, and we'll definitely have that pint soon.
Yeah,
even though you are. Right, I'll see you later.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Great episode. Love that. What a bloke. What a proper Brummie. Proper bloke he was, wasn't he?
He's a proper lad, isn't he? From the Chelmsley Wood Massive as well.
Yeah, you like that, didn't you?
I did like that. Yeah, I thought there's some really interesting stuff he said. And I think if you're a business, one thing that I really liked is if you're a business and you're looking to do some charity work in the local area, just ask the people in your business who work for you to tell you what they want to support, and you're much more likely for them to get behind the cause than you are sort of like top down. We're all pushing this charity, this national charity. I think they get a lot of attention, whereas local charities don't. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. I quite enjoyed that bit.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I think you spoke about this in the intro, right? About the fact that he really fit the bill as a guest for the 0121. Without putting too much pressure on future guests, but make sure you prepare, because PJ really knows the area clearly, and obviously has a lot of connections through the region, and you could tell that in the list of heroes that he bought, because he just reeled them off, about 10 of them. It's brilliant.
some I've heard of, some I haven't, which was great. You know, the one it's Paul Coleman, he set up like art for charity, which I thought was really interesting concept. But he was going through like, actually, it gave you the opportunity to tell a little story about your brother and Glimpanel, which was really funny, which I loved. You know, and then he's speaking about Alan Barrett, Alison Hammond. There's so many amazing people through the region doing amazing things that, you know, and it's, I think, even more so now I see the vision, even just for the podcast. Having guests on like that makes me, and I think makes us realise that we're shaping the podcast around the right thing, where we're just trying to get really interesting, brilliant people from the region and just let them have a platform to talk about the great stuff they're doing, and it makes me even more excited about what we're doing with the podcast and about Birmingham.
100%, mate. I can't wait to get going on the next guest now. I think the 0121 is really. I want it to become like this cult podcast for the area. Like that is, we want the biggest Birmingham-based podcast. I think that's our aim, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Let's do something big in the region. That's the aim, isn't it? Adam, I'm going to leave you to the CTAs.
Yes, as always, if you haven't yet, please do subscribe and leave a review if you're listening to this. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, drop us a comment. Tell us who we should get on, actually. If you know any decent Birmingham-based heads, then stick that in the comments. But yeah, please do leave a review wherever you're watching or listening to this, and subscribe, because it does help us, feeds our egos and makes us want to do a little bit more of it.
Yes, and it will help us get more amazing people telling more amazing stories in good old Brum. Stay tuned. Love you all. Laters, taters.